this is Jackie Williams, and in tonight's video I want to share with you a card template and show you some variations. Now this is a card that I received from Kelly Kent some years ago, but I thought it was such a nice design. Although very simple, I really like the colors and the layout. So you can see it's just a single layer here. I'm going to show you some variations on this. Now the elements are just a card base, whatever your card base size in your country, and then some kind of a color, about 2 inches, and then a 2.5 inch square or whatever shape you're wanting to use. Now, of course, all of these sizes and elements are flexible according to the products that you want to use for your project. Now for tonight's project, I will be using the Tropical Leaf Bundle, and this is a brand new one, and you can see that it's a 2-step stamping set and then coordinates with a punch. And you may be wondering what catalog these are in. They're not actually in any catalog. These are in the online store only, so they're not in a publication. So you can find them there. Now for our project, I'm going to just step it up a little bit. I'm going to have my card base of thick basic white, but instead of just building right on the card base, I'm going to have a couple of layers. I'll have a pool party mat and a basic white mat. So I'll go ahead and put those together. And then I'll put that onto the card front with dimensionals. Now for my strip, I'm going to also use Pool Party, and I'm going to emboss that with the Cane Weave embossing folder. I just want to add a little bit to it. On the side of the folder with the black label, I'm actually just going to add some Versamark. I'm just going to tap that on. Now Versamark doesn't add color, but it does darken the color of the cardstock that you're using. So go ahead and run that through your embossing machine. And then once it's embossed, it's going to look something like this. It's a very subtle detail, but those little areas where there would naturally be a shadow, it's just that little bit darker from the Versamark. And I'm going to go ahead and put this onto my card front. I'm going to put it quite far over to the left-hand side. Now I am going to use a square just like Kelly did in her original design, and I'm going to use the Stylish Shapes, and for this square I've used the second largest one. I do like that stitching detail that's on this. Now I'm going to put that on with dimensionals, and instead of die cutting the white square that's in here, I have cut that. And that measurement, if you're using these exact dies, is about 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. And I realized that I should have stamped the hello from the Tropical Leaf before I put that on. So let's give it a go and see if I can get it right. I don't know, this might be a really good blooper. So let's stamp that. I'm just using Memento Black. Oh, not too bad. That was just lucky. From there, let's add our leaves. Now I do recommend that you use a Stampin' mat underneath your images because they are photopolymer and they are relatively large. Now for this sample, I want to use Parakeet Party and Granny Apple Green. I have always loved the lime green with that Pool Party combination. If I had had a little boy, I would have done up his room in those colors. So I'm going to stamp the detail of that leaf first in Granny Apple Green, and then I'll stamp the more solid image in Parakeet Party over top. Oh, that is such a happy color. And I love these holes in the leaf. It's just such a cool detail. Then we will just punch them out. Nice and easy. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and put those onto my card front. I always like to have them going outside the square a little bit. I mean, my thinking is, what's the point of cutting them out if they're just going to be within the square? You might as well just stamp them straight on. Then I felt like it needed a little grass or something behind, so I've cut a few colors out. It might just be too much of the same. So I know it's a very slight color variation. It's Pool Party or Mint Macaron. I'm gonna go with the mint. It's just a little bit more green. Next, I'm gonna add some linen thread. I feel like the tropical theme could do with some linen thread. So I'm just going to make some loops like this. I'm holding it with my fingers and then just folding those loops in half. So like the number 8, and then taking a separate piece of linen thread and tying through the middle. Now, instead of gems on this project, I thought I would use some flowers, and I really feel like this thing calls for some bright flowers. So I was deciding between the yellow or the pink. I think I actually like the pink better, so I hope you do too. And that's our card front. So for the inside of the card, I'm going to stamp that same leaf, but the smaller one for the inside. And that is our finished card. A nice variation from Kelly's original design. Now I have a few other samples to show you. This is one that I made earlier, so it stepped up even again, and you can see I've used totally different colors. I like both of them. I actually didn't really like this one as I was making it, but once it was all finished, I did like it. So for this piece, I've used Craft. And not only have I put Versamark on the folder, but then I put clear embossing powder on the piece. So you can see there's a bit of shine in there. And then I have accented with Blackberry Bliss and stamped with Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen. So more of the blue greens rather than the yellow greens. Then here is another variation of this template. So this one is going for more of a soft, pretty look, and this is using the Amazing Year stamp set, which is quite a pretty one. And you can see that I've stamped it down, but then I have cut the flowers and the tag out so that they are coming out of the square for a little more of an asymmetrical look. Here's another sample that I shared a few weeks ago, but I realized it's actually essentially the same design with the one strip and then the rectangle off to the side, the rectangle or the square. And this one is using the Dainty Delight dies. And then this sample is forgoing the square altogether and using the Greatest Journey suite, those beautiful scenery papers in those very bright colors. And then I just put a little tent there in lieu of an actual square. And then I kept the embellishments relatively simple. This is a card actually from several years ago, so most of these products are actually discontinued, but I still wanted to share it just as a sample. But this time, instead of using paper or cardstock, I've actually masked it off and used ink, and then used a stencil to create the dots. And again, didn't use any sort of shape, but rather just some elements there. But it's essentially the same template. Also, it's a square card. And then for this sample, I actually rotated the template. I had to get one with the cats in there. And then instead of one solid strip, used 3 very small ones and used my various embossing folders. That's always nice to have a variety of textures there. And then covered up the heart that this cat is holding with a little ball of yarn. So there are all my samples using the one template. I hope you enjoyed those. And I see from looking at them that Pool Party is my favorite color of the evening, but I hope you enjoy that too. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please share with your friends, leave me a comment, and of course, subscribe. And I'll see you next video. This is Jackie. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me. Thanks so much for joining me.